In a world where predators do not roar but smile, the weak are not devoured by fangs, but by subtle chains they never see. Today, I will reveal to you the 4 hidden weaknesses that mark you as prey, and how to burn them out of your soul before they destroy you. In the game of power, the man who cannot govern himself is already governed by others. I have seen kings with armies at their command lose entire kingdoms, not to superior forces, to a momentary loss of control. You may think self-control is simply about avoiding mistakes. No. It is the foundation upon which your influence is built. Without it, you are not a ruler of your life. You are a prisoner of your own impulses. Understand this: your enemies do not need to strike you directly. They need only provoke you, irritate you, make you reveal your emotions in the wrong place at the wrong time. A raised voice, a clenched fist, trembling tone. These betray what lies inside your mind. The moment you display your true feelings, you hand your rivals the key to manipulate you. You think they are reacting to your actions, but in truth, they are directing your behavior like a puppeteer pulling strings. They will smile while watching you destroy yourself. Do not believe for a moment that rage is strength. An uncontrolled man is like a war horse without reins. Powerful, yes, but easily led into a trap. Anger blinds your judgment, sharpens your enemy's wit, and weakens your position. Even when you win a verbal or physical clash in such a state, you lose something greater, the perception of mastery. And perception, my friend, is more powerful than any victory. A ruler must appear unshakable, unmovable, carved from stone even while storms rage inside. It is not only anger you must master. Joy, fear, sadness, all emotions are weapons in the hands of others if you display them too freely. Your joy can be exploited by offering you more of what you crave. Your fear can be pressed until you retreat from opportunities. Your sadness can be used to keep you in places that weaken you. Each time you reveal your emotional state, you are handing out a piece of your strategy, a piece of your defense, a piece of your soul. Consider the court of Florence, where I served and observed. A diplomat once, known for his brilliant mind, was undone because he could not mask his irritation at a rival's slow, deliberate speech. Each meeting became a theater of provocation. His rival would pause mid-sentence, adjust his robe, sip his wine, and the diplomat's eyes would narrow, his foot tapping, his voice raising. Soon, the entire court knew how to unbalance him. And when the time came to undermine his proposal, they did so by simply prolonging debate until he erupted in frustration. His loss was not due to flawed ideas, but flawed control. One weakness, exploited by many hands. You must imagine yourself as a fortress. Inside you may be in chaos, fires burning, generals shouting, doors breaking. But from the outside, the walls are high, the gates sealed, the banners steady in the wind. No enemy must ever know how close you are to breaking. To them, you are calm, deliberate, measured. Every movement of your hand, every glance of your eyes, every word that escapes your lips must feel intentional, never impulsive. But self-control is not born from mere suppression. Suppression is brittle, cracks under enough pressure. True self-control is forged through understanding. Ask yourself, what triggers you? Who makes you restless? What situations ignite your temper or unravel your focus? Study these patterns as a general studies the terrain before battle, for once you know your own weaknesses, you can prevent others from using them against you. If you are prone to impatience, learn the art of slowing yourself down deliberately. If fear grips you in uncertain moments, train yourself to face discomfort until fear becomes an old companion rather than a tyrant. Remember also that the world is filled with those who will test you, not because they are enemies, but because human nature delights in finding the cracks in others. They will test your patience by arriving late. They will test your pride by dismissing your opinions. They will test your resolve by offering temptation when they know you hunger for it. Each test you fail teaches them exactly how to make you dance. Each test you pass teaches them to tread carefully around you. Self-control is not silence. It is not passivity. It is not weakness. It is the choice to respond rather than react, to dictate the terms of engagement rather than let the enemy choose them. A ruler who shows no visible reaction forces his opponents to guess. Was he pleased? Was he insulted? Does he plan revenge? Or has he already dismissed the matter entirely? This uncertainty keeps them cautious, and caution in your enemy is a form of submission. In private, you may rage. In private, you may weep. In private, you may dance with joy until your bones ache. But in public, in the presence of those who may one day oppose you, you are a portrait painted in composure. Let your enemies grow frustrated at their inability to read you. Let them exhaust themselves trying to provoke you into a display of weakness. And when they tire, when they believe you unshakable, only then do you act on your terms, in your time, seeking validation. A man who hungers for the approval of others is not a man at all. He is a mirror, reflecting the desires of whoever stands before him. In my time, I have watched rulers, merchants, soldiers, even scholars with great promise bend themselves into pleasing shapes for the applause of the crowd. And I have seen those same men discarded when the applause shifted elsewhere. The one who lives for validation is owned by the one who gives it. Understand this truth: the desire to be liked is a leash, invisible yet stronger than iron. When you require others to affirm your worth, they need not threaten you with punishment to control you. They can simply withhold their praise. And you, like a starving dog, will adjust your behavior to win back their affection. It is the subtlest form of enslavement because it feels like love, when in reality, it is domination. The hunger for validation disguises itself as virtue. You tell yourself you are simply being agreeable, generous, kind, but beneath these masks lies a desperate bargain. Approve of me, and I will give you what you want. The problem is that those who accept this bargain will always want more. Once they see you will bend, they will keep bending you until there is nothing left of your own shape. You become a servant to every opinion that crosses your path, changing yourself 100 times in 100 rooms, never able to stand in one identity long enough to become respected for it. I recall a certain nobleman in the Florentine court, a man of wealth, wit, and charm. He was loved by nearly everyone, for he worked tirelessly to please them all. If one guest loved music, he learned an instrument. If another enjoyed politics, he memorized the affairs of the state. If yet another adored hunting, he bought the finest hounds. At first, this gained him great popularity, but over time, whispers began. Does he truly believe anything of his own, or is he merely an echo of those around him? In trying to be loved by everyone, he earned the deep respect of no one. And when a rival sought to ruin him, it took only one rumor to turn the crowd against him. Because affection built on performance collapses the moment the performance displeases. When you seek validation, you hand over the power to define you. Imagine a painter who waits for every passerby to tell him what colors to use. One says blue, so he paints blue. Another says red, so he paints red. A third demands gold, so he changes again. By the end, the canvas is a chaotic mess, and no one wants it. The painter has forgotten that the only work worth displaying is the one born from his own vision, not from the endless demands of those who have no stake in the outcome. You may think, but does not the ruler require the love of his people? Yes, a ruler must inspire loyalty, but loyalty and validation are not the same. Loyalty comes from strength, consistency, and the fulfillment of your role. Validation, seeking, comes from bending your will to please every voice, which only erodes loyalty, for no one trusts a chameleon in matters of leadership. A ruler must be respected even when he is not liked. He must be followed even when he denies the crowd its immediate pleasures. It is this steel in the spine that keeps the throne standing. You must train yourself to endure disapproval without trembling. There will be those who dislike you for no reason at all, and others who dislike you for very specific reasons. Let them. The man who panics at every frown, who scrambles to smooth every wrinkle in the fabric of opinion, will never have the time or focus to weave a strong design of his own. Do not give your critics the satisfaction of seeing you shift because of their discontent. When they see that their disapproval changes nothing in you, they lose one of their greatest weapons. The hunger for validation often springs from fear. Fear of being alone, fear of being judged, fear of being irrelevant. But the paradox is that the more you chase approval, the less valuable you become. People sense desperation. They sense when you are performing for them, and though they may applaud in the moment, they will not trust you when stakes are high. A man desperate to be liked will always betray principle for popularity, and no one follows such a man into real danger. When you do receive praise, accept it with grace but never dependence. Let it be a pleasant breeze, not the oxygen you require to breathe. A ruler must be able to act without applause, just as a general must be able to march without cheers. The greatest victories are often won in silence, when no one is watching, and only later will the crowd gather to pretend they believed in you all along. Learn the art of being unmoved. Speak your mind without scanning the room for approval. Make decisions based on strategy, not on which choice will earn the most smiles. Stand firm in the storm of criticism, for those who criticize today may kneel tomorrow when they see your consistency. In this way, you teach the world to respect you not for what you give them in exchange for love, but for the unshakable ground you stand upon. Poor boundaries. A fortress is only as strong as the gates that guard it, and a man is only as powerful as the limits he sets. Without boundaries, you are an open city. Any traveler, thief, or invader may walk in and take what they please. They will not announce themselves with banners or armies. They will come smiling, asking for small favors, a little time, a little trust, until you find yourself emptied, your resources drained, your focus shattered. The greatest conquerors in history did not always take cities by force. They often walked in through doors left unlocked. Boundaries are not merely about keeping others out. They are about defining the space in which your power can operate without interference. When you fail to guard your time, your energy, and your mind, you give away the very tools you need to rise. Every moment you allow someone to intrude without consequence is a brick removed from your walls. Sooner or later, the structure collapses, and those who once begged for your generosity will scatter, leaving you to rebuild alone. The danger is that poor boundaries rarely appear as weakness in the beginning. People will praise you for your openness, your willingness to help, your availability. They will tell you that you are generous, dependable, noble. And you will believe them, but beneath their praise is a hunger. They see that you are easy to access, easy to influence, easy to use. In the courts of Florence, I watched such men surrounded not by friends but by parasites, each one taking a piece of them until nothing remained but a hollow reputation. One such man was a young magistrate, celebrated for his fairness and charm. His chambers were always open. Anyone could come to him with requests. Merchants sought his endorsement, soldiers sought his intervention, nobles sought his advice. At first, he basked in the attention, believing it proof of his importance. But slowly, the weight of others' demands consumed him. His own work suffered. His decisions grew rushed, and his enemies learned they could stall his progress simply by sending him an endless stream of urgent matters. When the time came for him to defend his position, he had neither the strength nor the loyalty to hold it. His so-called allies had long since drained him and moved on to a fresher source. Your boundaries must be visible yet unyielding. They must be felt even by those who never test them. When someone knows you are not a man to be interrupted without cause, they think twice before knocking. When they know your word is final, they stop pressing for exceptions. When they see that your time is guarded, they value it more when they receive it. Just as a rare gem becomes more desirable because it is hard to obtain, so too does your presence and attention increase in worth when they are not freely given to all. The absence of boundaries invites disrespect. If a ruler allows every petitioner into the throne room, the throne ceases to inspire awe. If a commander lets every soldier speak over him, his orders lose their edge. If you permit anyone to enter your life at any moment, they will begin to treat you not as a person of purpose, but as a resource to be used at their convenience. Worse still, they will see you as a man who cannot protect himself, and those are the men the world consumes without hesitation. Setting boundaries requires two things: the courage to say no and the discipline to enforce it. Saying no once means nothing if you allow yourself to be worn down by persistence. The most cunning opportunists will not take your first refusal as final. They will press you, appeal to your compassion, or subtly make you feel guilty. This is their test. If you break once, they will know the way to break you again. Your refusal must be a fortress wall, not a curtain that can be pulled aside with enough effort. Many fear that strong boundaries will make them seem cold, distant, or unkind. But understand this: respect is born from clarity, not from constant access. A man who is always available is taken for granted. A man who guards his space is approached with intention. The courtier who is difficult to see is valued more when seen. The ruler who grants few audiences is remembered for each one. It is scarcity that breeds significance. Guard your time as you would guard gold. Time is the only currency you can never earn back. Guard your energy, for it is the fuel that powers every move you make. Guard your focus, for it is the blade that cuts through chaos. These are treasures far more valuable than coin, and once spent on the wrong people or causes, they will not return to you. The man who wastes them in the service of every request will wake one day to find himself powerless in the matters that truly decide his fate. Boundaries are also a shield for your mind. Every conversation you engage in, every opinion you absorb, every person you allow to influence your thoughts leaves a mark upon you. Without boundaries, you risk becoming a vessel for the ideas of others, losing sight of your own vision in the noise. The ruler who listens to every voice equally is a ruler with no voice of his own. Protect your mental space with the same ferocity as your physical one, for the battle for influence begins in the mind long before it reaches the battlefield. The man who avoids confrontation imagines he is preserving peace, but in truth, he is inviting war into his house. Conflict, like disease, does not vanish because you pretend it does not exist. It festers, spreads, and strikes when you are weakest. I have seen rulers lose their crowns, not because they face their enemies, but because they refuse to face them soon enough. Delay does not destroy danger, it multiplies it. In my time, I watched nobles who preferred whispers to declarations, polite smiles to firm words, and distance to direct engagement. They believed that by avoiding open dispute, they were maintaining harmony. Harmony built on silence is fragile. One gust of wind, one bold voice from an opponent, and the illusion shatters. Those who will not confront invite the ambitious to test them, again and again, until even the smallest predator dares to take a bite. Fear of confrontation is the fear of discomfort. It is the desire to avoid the heat of another's anger, the sting of their words, the weight of their disapproval. But power is not held by those who wish to be comfortable. It is held by those who can endure the discomfort of battle and emerge standing. A ruler who cannot look a rival in the eye and speak with firmness is a ruler who invites that rival to grow bolder with every passing day. There was a merchant I once knew in Florence, wealthy and respected, who found himself at odds with a competitor spreading false rumors about his trade. Rather than address the matter directly, he hoped it would fade if ignored. Yet with every day of silence, the lies spread further, whispered in the market, repeated in the taverns, even murmured among his own clients. By the time he finally acted, the damage was done. His reputation was so poisoned that truth itself could not cleanse it. His ruin came not from the lie itself, but from his refusal to confront it at its birth. Confrontation is not always a matter of violence or shouting. It is the act of meeting a challenge directly, on your terms, without flinching. Sometimes it is a measured conversation, other times a firm refusal, and at times it is the cold, public severing of an alliance. What matters is that those who test you are met with resistance, so they learn that pushing against you is neither easy nor without consequence. Fear of confrontation often masquerades as diplomacy. You tell yourself you are being patient, that you are avoiding unnecessary conflict, that you are taking the high road. But there is a difference between strategy and avoidance. Strategy delays battle only to prepare for victory. Avoidance delays battle because you lack the will to face it. The former strengthens your position, the latter weakens it. The skilled fox may evade the hounds for a time, but eventually he must bare his teeth or be torn apart. The world watches how you handle challenges. If you step forward when opposed, even your enemies will mark you as dangerous. If you step back, those same enemies will grow braver, and even your allies will begin to doubt you. Men respect strength, even in those they dislike, and they scorn weakness, even in those they love. Single decisive confrontation can establish your reputation for years, while a single act of avoidance can undo it in moments. The ability to confront is not born from recklessness, but from preparation. You must know your ground, your words, and your limits before stepping into the arena. Confrontation without readiness is mere noise. Confrontation with strategy is a weapon. You need not always win the moment to win the war. Sometimes the fact that you stood unshaken is victory enough to deter future attacks. The enemy may leave thinking they have bested you, but if they leave wary of challenging you again, you have already claimed the greater prize. Fear of confrontation also allows resentment to grow in the shadows. The colleague who takes credit for your work, the friend who disrespects you in small ways, the rival who chips at your influence, all thrive in the absence of challenge. The longer you remain silent, deeper they set their roots, until removing them becomes a violent and costly endeavor. Addressing matters early, while they are still small, is not aggression, it is maintenance, the way a wise ruler fortifies his walls before the enemy gathers an army. Some believe confrontation damages relationships. In truth, avoidance damages them far more. Those who take advantage of you will not respect you for your silence. They will simply take more. Those who truly value you will respect the fact that you defended yourself and your boundaries. Even among allies, the occasional clash can strengthen mutual understanding. Just as the forge strengthens metal through heat, the bond that survives confrontation is stronger than the one that exists only in the absence of it. Train yourself to speak. When you are tempted to swallow your words, begin with small acts, correct the minor disrespect, address the small falsehood, refuse the small demand that feels wrong. Each act of confrontation, however modest, builds the muscle you will need when greater battles come. Confidence is not born in grand moments. It is built in the countless small stands you take before those moments arrive. And know this, every confrontation you avoid today is a confrontation you gift to your future self, only larger, more entrenched, and more costly. You are not escaping conflict by refusing to face it now. You are merely letting it grow stronger in the shadows. A man who fears to fight while the enemy is small will find himself crushed when the enemy becomes too large to defeat. If you want, I can now merge all 4 expanded keynotes into one continuous, cinematic Machiavellian script so it reads like a single, powerful video narration without breaks or repeated openings. That would make it production ready. Would you like me to do that next? The weaknesses we have unmasked, lack of self-control, the hunger for validation, the absence of boundaries, and the fear of confrontation are not small cracks in your armor. They are open doors through which your enemies will enter. Leave them unchecked, and you will not need to be overthrown. You will hand over your crown willingly, piece by piece, until nothing remains of the ruler you could have been. Power does not belong to those who are perfect. It belongs to those who are aware of their flaws and ruthless in eradicating them. Each weakness you burn out is a weapon taken from the hands of your rivals. Each strength you forge is a wall they cannot scale. The choice before you is not whether the wolves are coming. They are already here. The choice is whether you will stand as prey or whether you will turn and show your teeth. The world does not pity the weak, nor does it spare them. It remembers only those who walked through fire without flinching, who stood unmoved when tested, who ruled themselves before ruling others. Begin with yourself, and no man will be able to make you a target again.